Welcome back, Floater Gang. Today we'll be doing our last mock trade for the trade deadline video, and it will be centered around the Portland Trailblazers. Deacon, give us your first mock trade.
All right. Well, I got an interesting one. Most of mine, or I don't know why I say most, all of mine are centered around Jeremy Grant. I love the guy. It's kind of just kind of existing there. I want him on a contender, and I would think who needs a wing more, and that they're kind of a hot team than the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I got Jeremy Grant going to Cleveland for Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, and 3 second-round picks because they have zero first.
Mm-mm.
What do you think?
I I
We have
mean,
some slow hands in the audience. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah. So Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, great young piece. 3 seconds for Jeremy Grant.
oh, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're the Blazers, you definitely have to. I think you have to accept that.
hmm I mean, Isaac Okoro, he's young, he's good wing,
Yeah.
uh, becoming a better shooter. But if you're the Cavs, you already don't have many firsts, but you're still a super young team. Um, so yeah, going and getting Jeremy Grant, he's on a huge contract, which may sway them the other way a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, I think one of the main things they're missing is a good wing, you know. I don't think they've quite found that yet. I mean, Akor and Strus are solid at what they do, but Grant's on the elite side. I mean, he's like a borderline all-star type guy.
Well, he's on the championship role player kind of player.
He's like the Aaron Gordon type. He's a better shooter, but
Better scorer for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I mean, part of me is kind of just like shocked by the trade, so I'm just kind of like processing it.
hmm
Um, I mean, overall, it seems like a pretty good trade, honestly. I can't
Yeah.
really find anything specific to where it's like, oh, I don't see why either team should do that. Blazers get two pretty young guys back, pretty good, and some seconds for Jeremy Grant getting a big contract off, which could be helpful in the next few years just to either sign a bigger player, to potentially try contending, going to
hmm
the playoffs or, playing, and really trying to ramp up some of those younger guys. Um, I mean, the only potential thing for the Cavs, Strus and Okoro are pretty high minute guys. So I guess you'll just have to fill that in a little bit, and feel confident about some of the other guys to fill in those minutes. Obviously, one of those being Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's definitely an acceptable trade for both sides. Uh, could work out nice.
I like the trade for the Cavs that want to go all in. A lot of people are a lot higher on the Cavs than I am. I still think they have too many roster questions around superstars around their backcourt partially, Garland and Mitchell.
I'm with you.
They don't look bad when they don't like right. They don't have bad games most of the time when they play together. But at the same time, there's kind of a little bit of a funky fit. It's a little bit of an elephant in the room.
Hmm.
Not everybody agrees even with this take. I know
Yeah.
we all kind of do agree with this take. And then obviously this is one that everyone does notice is the Allen Mobley situation.
Yeah.
Um, so that is certainly a situation. And so with this, they lose other guys. They use a young guy in Okaro. They lose some picks. So if this doesn't go well, which I like Grant's addition, I like that team, but I still don't know if I really trust that team.
Exactly.
Mitchell's gone. Now you lose your picks. All of a sudden you're kind of in a pickle. So this is risky. This is kind of a risky side for the
Yeah.
Cavs. For the
Yeah. I mean,
Blazers, like it.
you're kind of walking the tightrope here because I mean, maybe you're like, oh, this trade can convince Donovan to stay, and obviously you still have, if everything goes wrong, you could trade Darius Garland for assets or Jared Allen for assets, or obviously Donovan Mitchell will still fetch you a huge return, but also like I said, like if Donovan Mitchell's like, I still don't like this situation, then you're kind of stuck with none of your draft picks, and then your best player wants out. And I really wanted to throw Jared Allen in like a ton of trades, but the Cavs said they're not trading him. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
another issue that the Cavs
disappointing.
have, and that's another reason why I would be really hesitant about a trade like this because they don't know their front court situation. Allen low-key plays better when he's by
Mhm.
himself because he's been in the league a little longer. He's still a really young guy. I think he's 25 or 26, something crazy young. Um, and he's playing like an all-star when he's by himself.
I mean,
Mobley
they
has
look
a
like
much higher ceiling and has got an even more friendly contract, so they won't get rid of him either. So they don't want to get rid of either guy, but Loki should get rid of one of them.
I
Yeah.
mean, they looked like the best team in the league when it was just Donovan, Allen, and then the role players doing their thing.
And I don't
Um,
think that's necessarily a hit at Garland or Mobley either, because I think it could be a
no,
very
no,
cool
no.
situation when it's just them two or whatever combo you want to do, right? But that's exactly what they have to figure out, which
Yeah,
I think honestly, that might be more reason for the Cavs to not really look at a trade like that or just any trades in general is because you got to figure out what you have first and
yeah,
figure out what you do there to figure out how you want to play and what kind of return you want to get before you make a bigger move like that for Jeremy Grant, who's a great player. But in theory, if you do lose Donovan to the free agency, you would lose two potential shooting guards that could have been starting in backup in that as
yeah.
well. So it would be a riskier move unless you do know with that trade, hey, Donovan is happy, he will stay.
Hmm.
But even then, you just have to figure out kind of what you're doing, not because you're bad or you don't have the talent, but just because it doesn't look good and it's not flowing nice.
Right, yeah.
And just kind of to hammer it home, it's just I think the picks are kind of needed, I think, for the Blazers to accept this type of a trade, but are exactly, despite them just being second rounders, are exactly if I was the Cavs, would make me that much more hesitant. If you're just giving up the players, you get a better player. Let's say Mitchell leaves, they don't want that either way. But Jeremy Grant is still a good player to have. He's making a good bag. I don't think he's making an insane amount of money though. He would still be a cool guy, even if they lose Dom and then trade one of their bigs. He would still be a cool guy to have on that roster. Good guy to have on any team, really. But with those picks, and if things go south, now you're looking at a difficult situation. But I think they're necessary. That's my thoughts on the trade.
I mean, I think second round picks are getting just more and more valuable, just because teams are hitting on them more often at this point. Obviously, if you're good at drafting. And like, you could get those more experienced college players in those later picks. And there's a lot of times just great role players. So I think for the Blazers, I had to put in those three picks for it to be like an even trade.
Yeah.
But for the Cavs, your closet is very bare in that situation, in terms of picks.
And correct me
Because
if I'm wrong, but I think another reason why the second rounds are more valuable for the Cavs too is because they don't have very many, if any,
yeah,
first
I
picks.
mean, no, the Jazz own all of their first round picks. So
Exactly. So it's even more valuable for the Cavs because it means they have picks in the drafts.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're ready for the next one. I can do it. So we've talked about Malcolm Brogdon and the Knicks. We all were huge fans of that in the Knicks episode, so make sure to check that out. But Malcolm Brogdon to the Lakers is something that I think is being dramatically overlooked. Talk about DeJounte Murray, he's a much bigger price, and I think Malcolm Brogdon is low-key a better fit, especially considering what they'd have to give up. So Malcolm Brogdon to the Lakers for um for D'Angelo Russell, for Maxwell Lewis and Hood-Schifino. It's a little bit of a tall asking price, I think, for on the Lakers side, but I do believe D'Angelo Russell wouldn't just really do it. And I maybe they can get away with not trading Maxwell Lewis, but this would make the money work out decently well, and this would get the Blazers what they want is some young potential, particularly Hood-Schifino. There's been a lot of hype around that. I I'm neutral on him, but regardless, unimportant. I think if they like Hood-Schifino, this could be an intriguing trade. And D'Lo is also not he's not old really by any means, so he could still be fun to have on there. And Malcolm Brogdon can get kind of a you wouldn't be a superstar, but he can have a pretty big role, which he seems to want, especially what in Los Angeles, big market, and be a starting point guard. And I think he would be awesome because he's such a great and efficient catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He's not afraid to like pass the rock. And he's more consistent. D'Lo's been on fire recently, but D'Lo, just career-wise, inconsistent. You find a lot of consistency in Malcolm Brogdon. and also better defense. So I love Malcolm Brogdon to the Lakers. And I think this is one they're going to give up kind of a lot, but they wanted to get rid of D'Lo anyway and just get rid of some of their future guys. It's Los Angeles. If you want to look at the future, right? LeBron leaves, AD's getting older. You're always LA. You can always end up probably signing some kind of a star. So it's not too risky, and you're not
Yeah.
losing any picks here. So I think it's something they should just pursue. I think they should go in pretty big to pursue Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I understand what you're saying with they might be giving away too much, but at the same time, I'm almost thinking maybe they're not giving away enough. I mean, obviously, you said Maxwell Lewis, right? I mean, he hasn't really proven himself. Hood-Schifino hasn't really proven himself either. So it is still more of a gamble as well in terms of what kind of player they're going to be. D'Lo is younger than Brogdon by 4 years too, which could potentially be a little more intriguing for the Blazers just because he's a younger player again. You could potentially flip him in the offseason for something else as well. I love it for the Lakers, honestly. Like you said, Brogdon, I think he's just a really great leader, and he'll do whatever he kind of needs to do to fit in. He can shoot, he can pass, very solid defender. So I like the trade for the Lakers. I don't know if the Blazers accept it, to be honest. The Lakers also might ask for more in the sense too, just because D'Lo's been doing really good recently and stuff. So I like the trade in theory. I just can't necessarily see it being an easy accept on either side.
Mm. Yeah, I
Fair.
am. I mean, I think Brogdon on LA would be a perfect fit. I think he brings more like all around consistency than D'Lo does. He's also, I think, a better playmaker, better defender. He's just better fit, in my opinion. But yeah, speaking on the Blazers side of things, obviously your best young players are all guards in terms of Shaden Sharp, Scoot, Anthony Simons. I think you're just bringing in two more guards into that rotation. So yeah, I think that the I don't know the return isn't like ideal, but you're still getting two young players. And Hood-Schifino was in lottery discussions earlier in the draft process, and I still think he could be a really good young player. And I really liked Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine. He's more of a project, but um,
Yeah.
you know those things
The,
can go perfectly at times. And the Blazers are rebuilding, so why not take a swing on those players? But I think if they could get a better return, I think first round picks are more valuable than those two players. Um, so if I don't know if the money adds up, but if you could do D'Lo and just ask for a first, I think I would prefer that.
yeah, it depends on how much they want to go into the tax for the
Yeah,
Lakers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but I mean, I think that would also be interesting. They'll lose a lot of picks. I don't even know if they really have a first to trade. Maybe in like
Yeah, I
four
don't.
years. I think that's another issue that I don't know if the Blazers want first. I mean, it's not hurt them, but would be outside of their rebuild already anyway, which is not horrible because they already have a lot of young stars. Um, I think this trade we talked about before. I think this trade is a prime example of I don't know. It really just depends on how these players are valued. D'Lo has so many different people value him so differently. Malcolm Brogdon often kind of undervalued. I don't know. I hope the
Yeah.
Lakers would be as big on him as we are. We all kind of think he'd be an awesome fit. And then also how big do the Blazers look at Hood-Schifino, Maxwell Lewis? If I was the Blazers, I would want something different. I wouldn't at all. I'm not saying Hood-Schifino is bad. Maxwell Lewis is bad. I'm not at all convinced on them. I would want a different return. But a lot of people, I think, would love this. I think some people would accept this on heart rate, right? Some people would say D'Lo, Hood-Schifino, yeah, give me that trade. So it really just depends on how these front offices are valuing these type of players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting trade for both sides, honestly. A lot of thinking would have to be done, I think, just in the terms of, like I said, just kind of a weird trade for the Blazers. Obviously, they're kind of probably looking more for draft capital, which Maxwell Lewis and Hood-Schifino are. The young guys they just got drafted this year. But obviously it wasn't their choice, and like you said, they'd be forced to get two more guards when they already have like four good developing guards anyway. So I don't know how much they would really want that. maybe you could potentially try throwing in a third team for that trade and trying to shuffle things around a little bit there. But I just think it's an interesting trade, but also to the Lakers, they can only give up so much because I think the Lakers at this point, they're in a championship now, and we don't even know what our future is going to look like. I think the Lakers are honestly in a pretty bad spot just in general. So they can only give up so much to a team like the Blazers that they want because they don't have much draft capital. They don't really have that many young guys. And the young guy like Reeves that they do have, they don't want to trade. So I don't even know if I don't think they could make a trade like this with the Blazers accepting it without adding a third or fourth team in this, or with the Blazers having like, oh, we're gonna flip D'Lo right away to a third team. Um, so I
Funny
don't.
enough, yeah, funny enough, I agree with you. Funny enough, I've had the same thought. So that's when I decided to bring the Knicks, and that's when I realized, well, the Lakers serve no purpose in that three-team trade. So that's the other difficulty is for the Lakers to find a suitable partner that the Lakers need to be a part of it. Because a lot of it, the Lakers just get cut out of the trade
Yeah.
because they don't really have like with the Knicks, they don't need to be part of the trade because the Knicks have plenty of assets. So I mean, if they can find a third party suitor, it'd be great.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think we can go to the next
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah, Deacon, do you have any more trades you want to discuss?
Yeah, I got kind of a weird one. I don't know how y'all feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it actually. It's Jeremy Grant. I only did Jeremy Grant trades. To Golden State. Um, for Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, and then what was it? 2027 first? Just confirming. It was a 2026 first. From the Warriors. Obviously Wiggins, one of the biggest disappointments in the league this year. Moody's not getting many minutes, or at least I don't think he's getting the consistent minutes he wants. Um, and I think for the Blazers, you're rebuilding anyway. You could kind of try to recoup that Andrew Wiggins trade value, try to get him back to his old self. Obviously, he's a champion, so you're still going to get a veteran presence in the locker room, and then you're getting a young guy, Moses Moody, a young wing that you could develop. Um, and then first round pick, those are always stuff you like to have. And then for the Warriors perspective, you're getting a huge upgrade from Andrew Wiggins in terms of play this year. Um, and if you want to go all in with Steph Curry, I think a core of Steph, Kuminga, Jeremy Grant, and then if you trade Clay, if you trade Draymond, I don't know, but I think he could work. And then you still have TVD or TVD, Trace Jackson Davis, Brandon Pachemski, as other young guys. You could either throw in a trade for another star, or you could keep and develop and be great role players.
I could see the trade happening. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan. Like you said, you don't really know how you feel about it. It's kind of an interesting trade. Um, I mean, I think Wiggins in theory for the Blazers, for Jeremy Grant, they probably aren't super upset with or happy with. I mean, he's still 28, so he's kind of just another Jeremy Grant, not doing super great, which I don't think they would necessarily care for too much this season just because they know they're not really winning games and that's not necessarily their goal. Moses Moody's 21. He's a really good guard as well. Um, I think the biggest thing for the Blazers in some of these trades to figure out is kind of who do they want to stick with at guard for the next like few seasons? Because again, they would just add another guard to their roster. They could use a few more wings, bigs maybe. So I could see it happening. I don't even know what the Warriors are looking for or what they're really doing though. But I
Yeah.
think it's a good trade for the Warriors, honestly. Like you said, Grant's doing better than Wiggins. They lose a first in the next few years, but they already have pretty good young capital. Moody's not getting too many minutes. He has been hurt for a while too, and even last season, the year before that, he did have the injury problems as well. So I don't think that's too big of a loss for them. So it could be a really interesting trade actually to look at for the Warriors.
Yeah. I mean, last I think we heard is that they didn't know if they wanted to trade Clay and Draymond. They were like,
I heard no,
it's gonna be,
so they don't want to trade the core. So
yeah,
I don't really see that happening. They got Wiggins.
Yeah, I heard that too. The only problem is Clay thinks he's still worth the max contract, and I don't know if the Warriors are willing to give him that.
No one's
yeah,
willing to give him that, and he'll find out shortly.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Clay will be back on a smaller deal. But I mean, if you're the Warriors, you just got to do something. You're not good,
You have to try.
you
I
know.
mean,
Yeah. And if Jeremy Grant's not the move, that's fine. Just make a move. I think Larry Markkinen would be really good on this roster. You probably have to give up Kaminga to get him, but I think it's worth it.
Gotta give
For the
more than
right now.
Kaminga. You gotta give more than Kaminga.
Well, yeah. I think Kaminga plus pieces, but um, and you just gotta do something. I mean, what? Steph Curry's 36. He's not getting any younger. He's still just as good. Um, I don't know. Warriors are weird.
The words
yeah,
are definitely weird.
they are very weird right now.
That's definitely something. Yeah, we've talked about them a little bit. Do you have any other
Yeah,
Jeremy Grant destinations?
I do. They're not as interesting. So I got the Lakers for one of them. It pretty similar trade to the Malcolm Brogdon deal. I think it was Rui. Sorry, let me pull it up. It was Rui, Gabe Vincent, and the 2029 first. I don't know if LA would
I
be wanting to give that up.
I can't lie. I forgot they had Vincent. I don't think
Me
it's a.
too.
I don't. I don't think it would hurt for them to give him up.
I mean, he
Obviously,
doesn't really play.
obviously he only
He's
played so
been
many games
injured.
with them, but he
Yeah.
wasn't very good either. So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah. I mean, if you're LA, this like instant upgrade. Obviously, you still have the D'Lo contract. You still have Hood-Schifino. You can make another deal out of this. I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, if you want, you could do Grant and Brogdon, and throw in D'Lo and whoever else in there.
D'Lo,
Um,
Rui, Prince, or something.
I like
yeah,
the
yeah,
sound of that. I like the sound of that.
I think that would
yeah.
actually work
And
a lot
that
better
could
too.
be that could be interesting for both teams, the Blazers, just because those guys on the Lakers are young. Like
Hmm.
Rui's 25 years old, D'Lo's I think 27, so he's not that young anymore. But if you throw in Hood-Schifino as well, but Rui I think has a lot more value in that case for the Blazers than a D'Lo. He's got
Yeah.
a
And
nice contract.
if there's one piece on the Lakers I want, obviously besides Reeves, because Reeves has shown he can be a really good player. He's just not always playing at that level. But Rui Hachimura could be a really solid role player.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's still young. He's cheap. Uh, so if I'm one of these teams that are looking to make a deal like Atlanta or obviously Portland, I don't know who else is LA's talking to, but I would be targeting Rui instead of D'Lo. If the Lakers are up for it.
for sure.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean,
I
amen.
mean, like we had that struggle with the Lakers trade that Lauren drew up. I think if you try to get Brogdon and Jeremy back, I think they could eat. I think they can drop a better return. I think you can
Mhm.
just get a better return. I think it would be a lot smoother of a trade for both teams. So that could be
Yeah.
really interesting, and I think it'd be a really good upgrade for, especially the Lakers. I mean, Jeremy Grant's been really good. Rui and Prince have both had their struggles. I mean, the Lakers still might have Prince, but either way, Grant has been amazing. Brogdon, like we said, would be just a great fit. So that'd be a really interesting thing
I
for the
mean,
Lakers to look
and
at.
that deal for the Lakers, I think it automatically puts them. I mean, they may not be a top five seed, but they're a top five team in the West, in my eyes. I mean, and even in those top five teams, there's like Minnesota. They have never won in the playoffs, and Rudy's kind of a question mark in the playoffs. He's not a question mark. He's an exclamation point. It's like it doesn't work! Exclamation point. And then the Thunder, super young, don't have a real big. They've struggled against the Lakers this year. And then the Suns, you could throw in that top five if you want. They're kind of weird, if they kind of have to have like all their guys kind of cooking for the whole
Yeah.
system to work. I mean, usually they are cooking, so it works. But if it doesn't, I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
and then
mean,
you
I like the Lakers. That Lakers team doesn't have many flaws compared to the Laker team right now.
yeah. Yeah, and then there's still the Clippers who I think would still be better, but The
Oh,
Clippers are
yeah, yeah.
playing
I
out
didn't
of this
mention the
world
Clippers
kind of
just
right
because they're
now.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been really good. But is that all your trades, or do you have any more destinations?
I mean, I think I don't know Utah if they want to keep. I mean, Utah is kind of a name for everyone if they want to keep. They're having a solid season, so I think that could be a name to watch for Jeremy Grant or Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know how likely that is. I didn't drop a trade just because
Yeah, I
I
don't
thought
really
it.
know how because I feel like that'd be a really like
I think
neutral.
it's counterproductive for
Yeah.
what the Jazz are trying to do.
Yeah. Well, the Jazz, they're what are they like 24 and 24? I don't know if they're looking to go all the way or not all the way, looking to
I
go
don't
in and try to win this season. They don't
I
own
don't
their
think they
pick,
really care.
um, which is another interesting factor. Um, so yeah, but I didn't drop trades for those. And then Oklahoma City for either of them too. I think they could use either of them, but that may just be me as a
Bring Jeremy
OKC
back,
fan that
bro.
wants everyone.
Bring
I mean,
Jeremy
just to
back.
Yeah,
hit up on just to hit up on that, I mean, I think Jeremy Grant, I mean, I know they kind of
perfect
want a
fit.
bigger guy, but he's basically he's a Laurie Markkinen light, right? So he's
Mhm.
Laurie
Yeah,
Markkinen minus all that star power, but he's very similar. He's the same aura of a player.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, he fits all of our needs. I mean, not to a T, but I
he
mean,
might lack a little bit on the size and the rebounding, which you guys
yeah,
might
yeah.
want, but he can still guard, right, like a four. Um,
Obviously, I don't think that would be the only move we would need to make to be contenders.
Oh no,
But
definitely.
Good
I
move.
think if we insert him to that starting lineup instead of like Josh, gosh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Anyways, a little sidetracking there with the Thunder
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
But yeah, all interesting trades to look at. Curious to what if the Blazers even are involved in any trades by the deadline. But look out for that. Let us know what your thoughts are on these trades. Let us know if you have any interesting trades around the Blazers or any other teams for that sense. But with that, Floater Gang out.